Why do you feel so alone on semen retention? This is a very, very good question. This is a very great question, and it's something that we are all going through, especially as men. Being alone, being in solitude, it's something that may feel very scary. It's something that may feel very personal, and it also feels very overwhelming at times. Now, let me be the first to tell you that being alone or being secluded is not a bad thing. Now, a lot of people, we like to make things more than what they actually are. Being alone is not necessarily a bad thing, even though it feels bad, and even though we've been programmed to believe that being alone is a quote unquote bad thing, meaning, oh, you don't have friends, oh, you don't have family. Being alone is probably one of the best things that can happen to you on semen retention or any spiritual journey of that nature. And the reason I say that is because think about how many great things you've been able to learn about yourself while being alone. Now, this is why I say being alone is a very, very big process, especially when it comes to your spiritual journey. You see a lot of people, nowadays, what do they do when they're scared? What do they do when they're scared to be alone? They'll turn on the TV, they'll scroll on their phone, they'll go out to bars, they'll go out to clubs, they do anything that they can not to feel alone. When in reality, most of us are alone to begin with. Most of us are alone regardless. And it's a matter of accepting it and enjoying it, or going out and trying your best to feel quote unquote social or to find quote unquote friends. A lot of people have a lot of, some people say they have a lot of friends, but in reality they're kind of just bonding with people over trauma. They're trauma bonding. They're going out to these parties, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're talking about football games and yada yada yada, when in reality they're just really trying to find a way to escape. They're trying to find a way to escape their reality. They're trying to find a way to escape their 9 to 5. They're trying to find a way to escape their daily lives because they don't love their lives. And if you were to love your life, you'd accept it, you'd enjoy it. It's something that you would look forward to each and every single day. But a lot of these people, instead of enjoying their lives, they have to find things to escape reality. And this is why so many people are addicted to drugs. This is why so many people are addicted to porn. This is why so many people are addicted to promiscuous relationships, because it helps them escape reality for who knows how long. It's always short term, whether it be a day, a couple days, a month. It just helps them escape. It helps them escape from their own prison. And what I'm really trying to say is, when you're alone, you're more able to listen to yourself. You're more able to follow your own intuition, and you're also more able to understand yourself more. Now, I will be honest, I used to have a lot of friends. I used to be very, very popular in high school. I used to have, I'm not saying I had a big friend group. I had a small friend group, but I was very, well known among my peers and stuff like that. And basically what I'm trying to say is, as I started doing semen retention, as I started to really focus in on myself, as I started to find myself through semen retention, I was starting to realize who I actually was, what I actually wanted in this life. And what I actually wanted wasn't friends, it wasn't drugs, it wasn't these short-term pleasures, it was self-fulfillment. It was actual self-fulfillment. Whether that means, going outside and enjoying nature, whether that means sitting down and meditating and going inward, whether that means journaling, whether that means exercising, taking long walks, things that actually gave me real dopamine, real power, energy, whatever you want to call it, things that gave me real self-fulfillment. When you think about it, you going out to this party, what is it doing? It's almost like putting a Band-Aid over a broken bone. You know what I mean? It's like you're going to the club, you're going to be there for a couple hours, and then you go home, you go to sleep, and the next day you're back up, and you're like, oh, shoot, back to reality. Like, you look around, and you're like, oh, crap, that. And a lot of people are unconscious of this. A lot of people are actually very unconscious of these patterns. They think that they're going out and enjoying the night, but what they're really trying to do is just escape from their boring, 9 to 5 life that they hate. And because of this, they're scared of being alone. Being alone is where you actually think. If you really understand this, when you're alone, you're more able to not just understand yourself, but you're able to listen. You're able to listen to those thoughts in your brain that so many of these people are trying to run away from. A lot of people are trying to get away from these thoughts, so they have to like cloud their mind. They have to do anything they can to cloud their consciousness, to make it disappear while they can, whether it's drinking, smoking, or whatever. For those couple hours, it clouds your memory. It clouds all those thoughts, and it makes you quote unquote stop thinking. And obviously, this is the unhealthy way of doing it. But for most people, they think that this is what's normal. They think this is what's needed. They think this is what helps them. And the truth is, like I said before, whenever you start semen retention, you will lose a lot of people. You will lose tons and tons and tons of people in your life, whether it be friends, whether it be family, whether it be your brother, your sister, your mother, whatever. You're going to lose people in your life due to semen retention, and it's because you're becoming your most authentic self. You're becoming your most authentic form, and a lot of people can't deal with this. A lot of people don't resonate with your frequency whenever you get up here. Like let's say all your friends and all your family, you're right here, and you were right here at one point too, right? You were here, and then next thing you know, like as you're doing semen retention, there's levels, and then you're up here. And one thing you need to learn on this journey is like attracts like. Now, what this means is if you're on a higher vibration, if you're on a higher frequency, you're going to attract that of your nature. You're going to attract that of your vibration. So if you're a high vibrational person, you're going to attract high vibrational people. You're going to attract high vibrational things. You're going to only attract things that are on that level of playing field. Now, if your friends, your quote-unquote friends, the people that you used to hang out with are low vibrational people, if they, all they do is work their 9 to 5, they smoke weed, they drink alcohol, they're promiscuous with women, they're sleeping around, they're barely getting shit done, they have no dreams, they have no aspirations, that all they do is complain, they're still right here. They're going to be here for a while until they become more aware, until they snap out of it. They're going to be here for a very, very long time, and you're going to be up here. And now I'm sure many of you have tried this to keep hanging out with these people, but there's something about whenever you hang out with these people, there's something about it that just does not connect. It does not sit well in your stomach. It does not sit well in your heart. Something about hanging out with these people keeps bringing you down. It keeps bringing you down. And that's exactly what I mean by you can only attract what you are. So if you're up here and you're high vibrational and you're hanging out with people like this, all that's going to happen is your energy and your vibrations are going to keep going down, because the only way you can hang out with people down here is if you guys somehow meet in the middle. And if you have all this energy, you have all this vibration, you're happy, you're go lucky, and they're full of hatred, full of anger. Anytime you come around, up, and you could ask yourself, oh, how is that bad? Well, you're going to feel like shit. You're going to feel worse, and they're going to feel better. So they're going to, sometimes it's unconscious, and other times people are actually quote unquote energy vampires. Anytime you come around, they love your energy, so they try to keep bringing you around. They try to keep pulling you in. Hey, come here, come do this. And the more and more you hang out with them, the more energy they get, because they don't know how to get it for themselves. So they'll need you around. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Is the reason why you're losing so many people is because you're loving yourself more, you're respecting yourself more. And it's honestly, like I said before, it's scary at first, but once you realize that this was meant for you, this was God's plan, this was the universe's plan, whatever you believe in, you'll start to embrace it more and more and more. And not to mention, at the end of the day, everyone, in this life, they may seem like they have a lot of friends, they may seem like they have a lot of people around them, but in reality, and truthfully, all we have is ourselves. All we have is ourselves. And if you can't be alone by yourself, what does that tell you about yourself? That pretty much tells you that if you can't even be around yourself, there's a quote out there that's like, you should be your own best friend. You should be able to be alone with yourself because you're your own best friend. You want to, talk to yourself and hype yourself up like you are your own best friend, And that's pretty much what I'm trying to get at, is instead of trying to have a bunch of people around you, you know, and trying to, you know, look cool for, you know, your social life and for other people, ask yourself what truly makes you happy. I'm sure it's not the people around you that are smoking and drinking and cussing and, you know, blah, 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 talking about nonsense, pulling you down, pulling your energy down. I'm sure it's not that makes you happy. It might make you happy for a couple minutes, but then you're like, oh shoot, like, why am I even here? Why am I hanging out with these people? You know, what are they doing for me? You know, are they even helping me? And the truth of, you know, you have to be truthful with yourself. It's 10 times out of 10, it's going to be no. These people aren't actually helping me. These people aren't giving me any type of good energy. They're not profiting me in any way. They're not serving my highest purpose. And if that's the case, walk away. You know, it's better to be alone. You know, it's better to be alone than around a bunch of people that you hate. You know, I'd rather be alone for the rest of my life than around people that hurt me, take my energy, put me down for what I believe in. And that's pretty much all I really have to say. So if you're doing semen retention, you feel alone, understand that it's not a bad thing. It is a great thing. It is a perfect thing. This is probably what most people are actually looking for. They're looking for this peace. They're looking for this silence. They're looking for this alone time, but they don't know how to get it, and they don't know where to get it. They don't know how to get this energy, so they have to get it from other people. You know, they have to get it in social circles. They have to get it at parties, you know, whatever. I'm not trying to talk too much. I'm not trying to, you know, spew too much nonsense. But that's pretty much it. I just want to say that if you are going through, you know, what it feels like being alone, being secluded, just know that you're truthfully not alone. As much as you think you're alone, there's people going through the same experiences as you. And not only that, there are spiritual forces at work. There is a higher purpose. There's divination. There's higher divine beings behind you and your path. Whether you want to believe it or not, there's things that are helping you. They're pushing you into a certain direction. You know, and I can't express how many times in my life where I've felt alone for a long amount of time, and I came out the other side 10 times better. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please do like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.